Have you ever stopped to wonder why certain relationships feel like home, while others drain you to the core? Why some people appear in your life as if they were written into your story, while others arrive only to leave scars? What if I told you that none of this is random? That the kind of love you attract is not about chance, luck, or timing, but a direct mirror of who you are on the inside? Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." The partners you fall for, the people you tolerate, the love that enters your life, they all reflect what is already living inside of you. Love is not a reward. Love is a mirror. Think carefully. When you meet someone who validates your worth, it's usually because deep down you've already begun to recognize that worth in yourself. On the other hand, when you constantly attract relationships full of disrespect, betrayal, or indifference, it's rarely just about bad luck. More often, it reveals something within you that still hasn't healed, something that silently accepts less than you deserve. But here is where it gets uncomfortable. The love you attract will always expose who you are beneath the mask. It's not just about romance, it's about self-image, self-respect, and the hidden wounds you carry. Someone who believes they are unworthy will unconsciously gravitate toward partners who confirm that belief. Someone who has never dealt with abandonment will unconsciously attract people who repeat that cycle. And until you face these truths, you will keep repeating the same painful patterns, convinced that love is happening to you, when in fact it is happening through you. So I ask you, what does the love you've been attracting say about you? Does it reveal self-respect or self-betrayal? Does it show your maturity or your unresolved wounds? The mirror of love never lies. It reflects both your light and your shadows. That is why relationships are not just about connection, they are also about revelation. Jung understood that every bond is a stage where we meet parts of ourselves we would rather keep hidden. Love exposes us, and whether that exposure is painful or healing depends on the state of your own inner world. Pause for a second. Look back at the last person who deeply marked your life. Was that relationship a sanctuary or a battlefield? Was that love nurturing or consuming? Your answer is not just about them, it is about you. Because the love you attracted was a portrait of your inner self at that time. And this is the uncomfortable truth many avoid. You don't just attract what you want, you attract what you are. The vibrations of your self-esteem, your wounds, your confidence, and your fears, all of them act like invisible magnets shaping who enters your life. That's why simply wishing for a better partner never works if you don't first transform the relationship you have with yourself. In the next moments, I'm going to take you deeper. We will uncover how love functions as a psychological mirror, why you keep meeting the same patterns over and over again, and how to finally transform the kind of love you attract by transforming the person you are becoming. Because Jung was right. Love is not random, and it is never just about the other person. Love is a mirror, and every reflection begins with you. If love is truly a mirror, then what you see in the people you attract is not about them, it's about you. And here comes one of the most challenging lessons Jung left us. People don't just show up in our lives to fulfill our desires, they show up to reflect our unconscious truths. Think about the partners who disappointed you, who left you feeling small, who failed to value your presence. At first glance, it feels easy to blame them, to say that you simply met the wrong person. But Jung would argue otherwise. He would say that these people appeared because they reflect an unresolved part of you. They are a projection of your shadow. Why do you think so many people keep repeating the same toxic patterns? One relationship ends, another begins, and it feels eerily similar. The same betrayal, the same neglect, the same fights. This repetition is not coincidence, it is psychology. It is the unconscious calling out, "Look at me, heal me, face me." Until you do, you will continue attracting mirrors that reflect the very things you resist. Jung explained that projection is one of the most powerful forces in human relationships. We unconsciously project our fears, our wounds, and even our unacknowledged strengths onto the people we meet. That's why someone you barely know can trigger deep emotions in you. They are not just themselves, they are holding a mirror to your inner world. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone who has never healed their childhood abandonment. Deep down they carry a belief, "People always leave me." Without realizing it, they will feel drawn to partners who are emotionally distant, unavailable, or inconsistent. And when those partners eventually confirm the old wound, the person says, "See, I knew it. People always leave." But here's the painful twist. It wasn't fate, it was attraction. The love they attracted revealed exactly who they were on the inside. Someone who has still not healed abandonment. Now let's flip it. Imagine someone who has cultivated self-respect, who has learned to set boundaries, who knows their worth. That person begins to attract relationships that reflect respect, loyalty, and reciprocity. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because they changed. The mirror of love reflects the strength they now carry within themselves. And here lies the essence of Jung's insight. Love doesn't reward who you pretend to be, it reveals who you truly are. You can wear masks in the world, you can play roles, project an image and chase validation. But in the intimacy of love, the masks fall. Love has a way of exposing the hidden truths. That's why it's so powerful and so frightening. So ask yourself, what patterns keep showing up in your relationships? Are you always the rescuer, the one who gives too much? Are you always the one being abandoned, the one left behind? Or maybe you find yourself consistently with partners who drain your energy, criticize you, or fail to see your value. None of this is random. Every pattern is a reflection. And this brings us to a painful realization. If you don't like the kind of love you're attracting, the change does not start with the other. It starts with you. It starts with looking in the mirror and asking, what part of me is still allowing this? What belief is shaping this attraction? What wound is this person reflecting back to me? Because here is the truth. You cannot attract a love that is bigger than the love you have for yourself. You cannot draw loyalty if you keep betraying yourself. You cannot receive respect if you secretly believe you don't deserve it. The universe, or life, or whatever name you give it, is not punishing you, it's reflecting you. And that is why relationships are perhaps the most transformative of all human experiences. They don't just give us pleasure or companionship, they give us a mirror, a raw, unfiltered reflection of our inner self. And the courage to face that reflection determines whether love becomes a cycle of suffering or a path to growth. In the next part, we will go even deeper. We'll talk about why so many people are terrified of looking into this mirror, why they sabotage healthy love, and why they stay addicted to toxic love. Because, deep down, both are still reflections of the same inner state. Because Jung was right, love is not luck, it is revelation, and what it reveals is always you. If the love you attract is a mirror of who you are, then why do so many people push away the love that could actually heal them while chasing after the love that hurts them? Why do we sabotage what feels safe, but cling desperately to what feels chaotic? The answer lies in a brutal truth. Your unconscious does not seek what is good for you. It seeks what is familiar. Jung spent his life showing us that the human psyche is shaped by deep patterns, wounds, fears, and beliefs that live below the surface of our awareness. These patterns are formed in childhood, in our first experiences of attachment, and once established, they create a blueprint of what love feels like. If love in your early life was inconsistent, full of abandonment, neglect, or criticism, then that becomes your internal compass. You mistake chaos for passion, instability for intensity, pain for connection. That's why so many people run from healthy love. A partner who offers stability, respect, and presence feels strange, sometimes even boring. Not because healthy love lacks value, but because the unconscious mind doesn't recognize it as familiar. It doesn't fit the pattern. And what doesn't fit feels wrong. So, unconsciously, you push it away. On the other hand, when someone appears in your life and activates your wounds by being unavailable, dismissive, or unpredictable, your unconscious lights up. This is it. This is love. And you feel drawn in, addicted even. But it's not love, it's recognition. Your unconscious is saying, I know this pain. I've been here before. Let's repeat it. And here is the tragedy. People mistake repetition for destiny. They think, why do I always meet the wrong people? Why is my love life cursed? But in truth, it's not a curse. It's a mirror. The toxic love you attract is not an accident. It is your shadow showing up in flesh and blood, giving you the chance to finally face it. Jung explained this dynamic through the concept of the shadow, the hidden parts of ourselves that we reject, deny, or cannot see. When you haven't integrated your shadow, you project it outward, and it returns to you in the form of the people you attract. This is why relationships can feel so karmic, because they are psychological karma. They force you to confront what you have buried. Let's make this practical. Imagine someone who grew up in a house where love was always conditional. You only received affection if you performed well, behaved properly, or met expectations. That person grows up with an unconscious belief, I must earn love. So what happens? They attract partners who withhold affection until they prove themselves. Partners who keep them in a constant state of striving, chasing, and exhaustion. And until that person heals the belief that love must be earned, they will keep attracting the same dynamic again and again. Now, contrast this with another person, someone who has faced their wounds, who has looked into the mirror and done the painful work of healing. They know deep inside, I am worthy of love as I am. When they meet someone who mirrors that belief, they feel peace, not chaos. They can finally recognize healthy love as real love, not as something foreign or boring. And that shift changes everything. But here's the uncomfortable question. Are you sabotaging love without realizing it? Do you push away people who treat you well because deep down you don't believe you deserve it? Do you chase people who mistreat you because part of you feels that's all you can get? The love you attract reveals who you are, not who you say you are, not who you pretend to be, but who you are at the deepest unconscious level. And unless you shine light on those patterns, you will keep replaying them, thinking they are fate. So the next time you ask yourself, why do I always attract the same type of partner? Remember this, it's not just about them, it's about you. They are the mirror. They are the reflection of an internal script you haven't rewritten yet. And here lies both the pain and the opportunity. Because if love is a mirror, then by changing yourself, you change the reflection. You don't need to chase better partners. You need to become the version of yourself that attracts better partners naturally. In the next part, we will explore this transformation more deeply. We'll look at how self-awareness, boundaries, and individuation, the very process Jung described, shift the kind of love you attract. And you'll see why the journey toward healthy love always begins with the courage to face the mirror. If toxic love is just a mirror of your unconscious wounds, then how do you change the reflection? Jung gave us the answer in one word: individuation. Individuation is the journey of becoming whole, of integrating the parts of yourself you've ignored, denied, or projected onto others. It's not about becoming perfect, it's about becoming real. And in relationships, nothing is more powerful. Because the more whole you are within, the less you depend on chaos to feel alive. Think about it. If your unconscious patterns are attracting love that wounds you, then healing those patterns will naturally attract love that nourishes you. Not because you're lucky, but because your energy, your choices, your very presence shift. This is why the inner work matters more than chasing the right partner. Without individuation, you repeat the same story with different faces. With individuation, you stop playing out the old script, and suddenly the love you attract feels like peace, not war. Let's make this concrete. A person who once believed, "I must earn love," begins to heal that wound. They set boundaries, they stop overgiving, they learn to receive without guilt. And what happens? The partners who once fed on their self-sacrifice disappear. They're no longer attracted to that energy. Instead, people who respect their boundaries show up. A person who carried the belief, "I am not worthy of love," confronts that shadow. They practice self-compassion. They recognize their inherent value. And slowly, partners who would have exploited their insecurity no longer feel magnetic. They are no longer mirrors of shame. They become mirrors of dignity. A person who equated chaos with passion learns that love can also be calm. They expand their nervous system to tolerate peace, to embrace stability. At first, it feels foreign, even uncomfortable. But as they integrate, they realize this is what real intimacy feels like. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." In love, this means until you bring awareness to your patterns, you will keep falling for the same dynamics and calling it destiny. But Jung's individuation breaks that cycle. It brings light to the shadow. It reveals why you were drawn to certain people, why you sabotaged others, why your love life felt like repetition. And once you see it clearly, you have a choice. You can step out of the loop. And here's the paradox. When you stop needing another person to complete your missing pieces, you actually attract partners who are whole too. Instead of two halves clinging to each other out of fear, You become two wholes choosing each other out of freedom. That's the love Jung pointed toward, not love as addiction, but love as reflection. So the real question is not, how do I find someone who will love me right? The real question is, how do I become someone who attracts the kind of love I desire? Because when you transform your inner world, the mirror changes. The love you attract changes. In the next and final part, we'll bring everything together. You'll see why love, according to Jung, is never just about romance. It's about self-knowledge, and why every relationship, good or bad, is an invitation to meet yourself more deeply. So, let's bring it all together. Love is not a reward. It's not something you earn by being good enough, beautiful enough, successful enough. Love, as Jung showed us, is a mirror. It reflects back to you the truth of your own psyche, the light you embrace and the shadow you avoid. This is why relationships can feel like destiny, why certain people enter your life with such force, almost as if the universe sent them. And in a way, it did, but not as punishment and not as reward, as a mirror, as a chance to see yourself. The toxic loves, they are your wounds asking to be healed. The healthy loves, they are your wholeness being recognized. Every partner you've ever had was holding up a mirror, showing you the parts of yourself you needed to face. Some mirrors were painful, others were healing, but all of them were invitations. And here's the final truth. Until you accept that love is a mirror, you will stay trapped in cycles, chasing, suffering, sabotaging, repeating. But the moment you accept it, the game changes. Because then you stop asking, why don't they love me right? And you start asking, what in me is being reflected here? That question is the doorway to individuation. It turns heartbreak into wisdom. It turns pain into transformation. It makes every relationship, even the hardest ones, meaningful. Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And in love, that privilege is doubled. Because as you become whole, the love you attract also becomes whole. So, if you want to change your relationships, don't start by searching for the right person. Start by becoming the right person. Heal your wounds. Face your shadow. Walk the path of individuation. Because when you do, the mirror will change. And the love you attract will no longer be the echo of your pain, but the reflection of your wholeness. That is the true power of Jung's teaching. Love is not outside of you. Love is a mirror, and every reflection is leading you back to yourself. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to Psikelogy and join me on this journey of exploring the psyche through Jung's wisdom. Share this video with someone who might need this reminder, and leave your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how this idea lands for you. Until then, take care of your inner world, and I'll see you in the next video.